The hour convening having arrived, all members of the House will please come to the floor and take their seats. All members will come to the floor and take their seats. We're going to have the morning roll call soon. Clerk will ring the bell. All right, we're going to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? Have all members now voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. Doorkeepers will please close the doors and keep them closed. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Seems like I just saw y'all a few hours ago. We are going to have our scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this afternoon will be introduced by the gentleman from the 149th House District, Chairman of the State Planning and Community Affairs Committee, Chairman Jimmy Pruitt. Chairman Pruitt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and as I look out over the room today, for some reason it still feels like morning to me, but maybe it does to you too. But I was asking the pastor a few minutes ago how many members he had of his church, and he said he didn't count the membership, he counted how many came to Sunday school. We have 180 house members here, but as you look around and see the empty seats, the ones that count are the ones that's here. And the pastor said he felt right at home with that, I think. But this is Reverend Todd Crosby, and his beautiful wife is with us today. Her name is Teresa, and his mother, Sherry. And if he would stand. Thank you for being with us. Your mother looks more like your sister, I think. Yeah. Life's been good to her. Reverend Todd is a pastor of McRae First Baptist Church, and he moved to McRae in December of 2011 from Jeffersonville, Indiana, where he was the pastor for Parkwood Southern Baptist Church. Reverend Crosby attended Bruton Parker College, Boyce College, and Southern Baptist Theology Seminary. Although he lived in Indiana for 11 years, he's originally from Baxley, Georgia, where his family still lives. He is married to Teresa, and they have 2 children, Kristen and Jacob. And they're very happy to be living in my new district in Telfair County, and I'm pleased that they came up, and I think he said, "Oh boy, new meat."
Good afternoon. I was warned that you folks had a late night last night and that many of you may look like zombies, and I thought I'll feel right at home. It'll look like a Sunday morning out there. I'd like to first of all thank Representative Pruitt for his kind invitation. I would like to thank this body for the opportunity to address you at the start of your legislative day. And I would like to thank each and every one of you for the service that you offer to our great state. And I know that you're here because you sincerely desire to make this state a better place to live for all of its citizens. I know that governing is a very difficult task and that criticism abounds from every side. You hear voices that criticize because of the division and the partisan rancor that too often characterize our political system, but I believe that you can find disharmony and division anywhere. I once heard about a man who was marooned on a desert island, and he had been there for 10 years, and when the captain pulled the lifeboat that rescued him up to the island, they discovered that he had 3 huts that had been built there. Now, this piqued his curiosity. He asked him about the first hut, and he said, "Well, that's where I live." He said, "Oh, well, that's wonderful. What's this one here?" He said, "Well, that's where I go to church." And the captain thought, well, wonderful. His faith had sustained him through all of his years on this deserted island. "But what's the third hut over there?" He said, "Well, that's where I used to go to church until I had a falling out when we left and moved over here." So sadly, the political world is not the only place where you can find rancor and division, but thankfully, in all seriousness, the Bible does give us guidance here. It tells us that there is a wisdom that can overcome the inherent disharmony of the human heart. And I would like to read a text of Scripture for you today that I believe illustrates that. James chapter 3, verse 13 through 18. This is the word of the Lord. "Who is wise and understanding among you? By his good conduct let him show his works in the meekness of wisdom. But if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast and do not be false to the truth. This is not the wisdom that comes down from above, but is earthly, unspiritual. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there will be disorder and every vile practice. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy and good fruits, impartial and sincere. And a harvest of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace." Now, in this passage that I just read to you, James simply contrasts 2 kinds of wisdom. One is described as worldly, and it leads to bitter jealousy and selfish ambition. Jealousy and ambition are 2 very self-centered words. If we're jealous, we want what other people have for ourselves. If we are selfishly ambitious, we won't mind who we step on to elevate ourselves. These are 2 characteristics that simply cannot help but to lead to division, rancor, and resentment. But he also describes an alternative that promises to lead to more harmonious relationships. It is what James refers to as the wisdom that is from above. And for just a few moments, I want to look at those characteristics with you. First of all, he describes it as pure. That word means that it is unmixed, unalloyed, or untainted with any impurity. It may be referring to moral purity, but I believe in the context in which it's given, he's referring to anything that is free from jealousy and selfish ambition. In other words, it focuses on our motives. Are our motives pure? If we seek wisdom so that we can lord it over others or use it for our own advantage and power, it is not pure, godly wisdom. Second, he describes it as peaceable. And I notice that he starts with purity even before he moves to peace. I take this to mean that purity is not to be sacrificed in order to have peace. Adrian Rogers once famously said, "I would far rather be divided by truth than united in error." So peace without purity would not be wisdom from above. However, purity that is sought in a cantankerous or contentious manner does not characterize wisdom that is from above either. The Bible encourages us in Psalm 34 to seek peace and to pursue it. While we may not be able to overcome every difference we have with one another, we can certainly seek peace with those whom we may disagree. Another description here is that it is gentle. The word that's used to translate here, gentle, is difficult to translate into English, but it is used to describe a man who knows how to forgive when strict justice gives him a perfect right to condemn. He knows how to make allowances and when not to stand upon his rights, and how to temper justice with mercy. He further describes it as open to reason, and you don't need me to explain that to you. It's simply the opposite of being unreasonable. While the word that James uses here quite literally means to be easily persuaded, it does not carry with it the idea of being gullible or naive. It describes that person who makes decisions that are based upon reason and fact. Elsewhere, James describes this kind of person as a man or a woman who is quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. A reasonable man or woman is willing to listen to those whom they may disagree with and follow the truth wherever it may lead. It's the difference simply between entering into a conversation knowing your mind and entering into that conversation already having your mind made up. Well, he finally describes this as wisdom that is full of mercy and good fruits. One commentator has described mercy as not only having compassion for the person who is suffering apart from anything that he did, but also showing compassion to the one who is suffering as the result of his own bad decisions. Bearing good fruit simply means that wisdom is going to work itself out in our actions. It is going to roll up its sleeves and become practical rather than merely theoretical. It takes action. Finally, he describes it as being impartial and sincere. And in being impartial, it does not take up sides in a spirit of cronyism or acrimony. Rather, it chooses what is right for wisdom's sake. And by being sincere when it speaks, it does so without hypocrisy or duplicity. The kind of woman that is guided by this kind of wisdom, which is from above, is a person to whom you can rely on for advice or counsel. Now, James says when we put this kind of wisdom into practice, we could not help but desire its results. He says that it is a harvest of righteousness sown in peace by those who make peace. Edmund Burke once asked, "What is liberty without wisdom and without virtue? It is the greatest of all possible evils, for it is folly, vice, and madness, without tuition and without restraint." Brothers and sisters, I believe today that what is needed in our world is not wisdom from the right nor wisdom from the left, but wisdom from above. And may God give us hearts to seek that kind of wisdom. Join with me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this great nation that we live in, and I thank you for this great state and these men and these women who have given of their time to serve the citizens of this state. And so, Lord, as they enter into this legislative session, I pray, God, that you would give them a spirit of wisdom, guidance, and discernment. Lord, help them to seek your face in all that we do. And we pray, O Lord, that you would give them unity in this body. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. Chair recognizes Chairman Chokus, the chairman of the Committee on Information and Audits.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Information and Audits has reviewed the journals of the previous legislative day and have found them to be correct.
Chairman Chokus, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. The clerk will read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day.
Mr. O'Neill, the 146, moves that the following be established as the order of business during the first part of the period of unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions. Morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 1100 by Representative Stevens, and the 164th. To amend Article 2 of Chapter 6 of Title 32 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to dimensions and weights of vehicles and loads operating on public roads.
Motor vehicles.
House Bill 1101 by Representative Pruitt to amend an act creating the Office of Commissioner of Dodge County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1102 by Representative Broderick of the 4th to authorize the City of Dalton to exercise all redevelopment and under powers under the Georgia Constitution.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1105 by Representative Pruitt of the 149 to repeal the amendment to the Constitution of Georgia providing the county officers of Telfair County shall be ineligible to hold office.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1106 by Representative Stevens of the 164th to create a Board of Elections and Registration for Bryant County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1107 by Representative Cooper of the 43rd to amend Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to health.
Health and Human Services.
House Resolution 1601 by Representative Stevens of the 164th, creating the House Georgia-based Film and Post-Production Study Committee.
Economic Development and Tourism.
House Resolution 1608 by Representative Williams, 168th, recognizing Mr. Robert Vernon Bobby Sykes and dedicating a bridge in his honor.
Transportation.
House Resolution 1643 by Representative Braddock of the 19th, creating the House Study Committee on Foreclosure Reform.
Banks and Banking.
Senate Bill 98 by Senator Hill of the 32nd to provide a short title to amend Article 1 of Chapter 24, Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to insurance.
Insurance.
Senate Bill 268 by Senator Huffstetler of the 52nd to amend Code Section 4334103, Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to delegation of authority to physician's assistants.
Health and Human Services.
Senate Bill 274 by Senator Say of the 34th to amend Part 2, Article 4 of Chapter 13 of Title 45 Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Capital Arts Standards Commission.
State Properties.
Senate Bill 276 by Senator Harbison of the 15th to amend Article 3, Chapter 3 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to other state symbols.
Defense and Veterans Affairs.
Senate Bill 281 by Senator Hill of the 32nd to amend Part 1 of Article 1 of Chapter 18 of Title 45 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to state employees' health insurance plans.
Insurance.
Senate Bill 293 by Senator Miller of the 40th to amend Chapter 5 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the ad valorem taxation of property.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 304 by Senator Stone of the 23rd to amend Chapter 5 Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to continuing care providers and facilities.
Health and Human Services.
Senate Bill 318 by Senator Jackson of the 2nd to amend Code Section 3-3-7 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to local authorization and regulations of sales of alcoholic beverages on Sunday.
Regulated Industries.
Senate Bill 326 by Senator Jeffries of the 17th to amend Code Section 20-3-202 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the creation, membership, officers' compensation, and quorum of the Private Colleges and Universities Authority.
Higher Education.
Senate Bill 333 by Senator Tolleson of the 20th to amend Code Section 12-2-2 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to permit applications and appeal procedures.
Natural Resources and Environment.
Senate Bill 353 by Senator Beach of the 21st to amend Chapter 62 of Title 36 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to development authorities.
Governmental Affairs.
Senate Bill 358 by Senator Albers of the 56th to amend Article 4, Chapter 3 of Title 35 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the Missing Children Information Center.
Health and Human Services.
Senate Bill 361 by Senator Carter of the 1st to amend Article 1 of Chapter 5 of Title 12 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions relative to water resources.
Natural Resources and Environment.
Senate Bill 381 by Senator Beach of the 21st to amend Code Section 38-3-57 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the establishment of a standardized, verifiable, performance-based unified command system for emergencies.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
Senate Bill 382 by Senator Mullis of the 53rd to amend Article 1 of Chapter 8 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to theft.
Judiciary Non-Civil.
Senate Bill 383 by Senator Davis of the 22nd to amend Code Section 45-16-25 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to duties of coroner or county mental examiners.
Judiciary Non-Civil.
Senate Bill 384 by Senator Miller of the 40th to amend Part 2 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to competencies and curriculum relative to education.
Education.
Senate Bill 391 by Senator Balfour of the 9th to amend Article 1 of Chapter 7 of Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to regulations of hospitals and related institutions.
Health and Human Services.
Senate Bill 392 by Senator Gooch of the 51st to amend Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to motor vehicles.
Motor Vehicles.
Senate Resolution 783 by Senator Heath of the 31st, proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to prohibit the levy of state ad valorem taxes.
Ways and Means.
Senate Resolution 896 by Senator Tolleson of the 20th, creating the Joint Study Committee on the Georgia Legacy Program.
Natural Resources and Environment.
Senate Resolution 920 by Senator Jackson of the 24th, honoring the life of Mr. Thomas Watson Cullors and dedicating a road in his memory.
Transportation.
Resolution 937 by Senator Stone, honoring the life of Mr. Albert Sidney Sid Newton.
Transportation.
Senate Resolution 941 by Senator Schaefer of the 48th, urging Congress to grow the United States economy by increasing the number of visas.
Economic Development and Tourism.
Senate Resolution 981 by Senator Unterman of the 45th, creating the Joint Study Committee on Violence Against Healthcare Workers.
Health and Human Services.
Senate Resolution 1027 by Senator Beach of the 21st, creating the SPLOST Reform Joint Study Committee.
Ways and Means.
That completes first readings.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
HB 1090 by Representative Green of the 151st, a bill to provide a new charter for the City of Arlington. HB 1091 by Representative Dempsey of the 13th, a bill relating to the Fair Business Practices Act. HB 1092 by Representative Yates of the 73rd, a bill to amend an act creating the Fayette County Public Facilities Authority. HB 1093 by Representative Chanel of the 120th, a bill to provide for homestead exemption from City of Eatonton ad valorem taxes. HB 1094 by Representative Chanel of the 120th, a bill to provide for a homestead exemption from City of Eatonton ad valorem taxes. HB 1095 by Representative Chanel of the 120th, the bill to provide for a homestead exemption from City of Eatonton ad valorem taxes. HB 1096 by Representative Stevens of the 164th, a bill relating to general provisions for the Department of Community Affairs. HB 1099 by Representative Jackson of the 128th, a bill to provide that a member of the Board of Education of Warren County shall be authorized to simultaneously serve as Deputy Coroner of Warren County. HB 1103 by Representative Allison of the 8th, the bill to amend an act to grant a new charter to the City of Young Harris. HB 1104 by Representative Rogers of the 10th, a bill to amend an act establishing the State Court of Habersham County. HB 1108 by Representative Gravely of the 67th, the bill to amend an act creating the Douglas County Board of Education. HB 1109 by Representative Taylor of the 79th, the bill to amend an act incorporating the City of Dunwoody. HB 1110 by Representative Anderson of the 92nd, a bill to amend an act creating the State Court of Rockdale County. H.R. 1589 by Representative Jones of the 53rd, resolution honoring the lives and memories of Shattuck and Demia Griffin and encouraging Georgia Police Departments to execute arrest warrants expeditiously. H.R. 1600 by Representative Moran of the 96th, resolution creating the Georgia Asian American Pacific Islanders Task Force. Senate Bill 93 by Senator Heath of the 31st, a bill relating to general provisions regarding hunting. Senate Bill 270 by Senator Miller of the 40th, a bill to incorporate the city of Lakeside into DeKalb County. Senate Bill 282 by Senator Hufstetler of the 52nd, a bill relating to alimony, a child support, and the Child Support Recovery Act. Senate Bill 331 by Senator Harper of the 7th, a bill relating to the number of Superior Court judges for each judicial circuit. Senate Bill 364 by Senator Stone of the 23rd, a bill relating to the Juvenile Code and schedules, offenses, and penalties. Senate Bill 365 by Senator Stone of the 23rd, a bill relating to the Fair Business Practice Act, delinquency proceedings in juvenile court, suspension of driver's license for certain drug offenses, Board and Department of Corrections, and general tort provisions. Senate Bill 372 by Senator McCune of the 29th, a bill relating to uniform reporting system for certain purposes and academic eligibility requirements to receive a Hope Scholarship. Senate Bill 374 by Senator Cowsert of the 46th, a bill to amend the Urban Redevelopment Law. Senate Bill 386 by Senator Albers of the 56th, a bill relating to civil practice. Senate Resolution 70 by Senator Hill of the 32nd, resolution urging the United States Congress to adopt and submit to the states a balanced budget amendment for the United States Constitution and to balance our current budget. Senate Resolution 875 by Senator Hill of the 4th, a resolution creating the Joint Study Committee on the Property Tax Digest Impact on Education Funding. 3 second readers.
All right, we're going, we have a couple of invite resolutions we're going to do. House will come to order. This House will be in order. All members of the House in the chamber will take their seats. We're about to honor and recognize some very distinguished Georgians. I'm going to ask the clerk to read the caption to both House Resolution 1334 and 1349.
House Resolution 1334 by Representative Hitchens of the 161st, Atwood of the 179th, Lumsden of the 12th, Strickland of the 111th, Knight of the 130th, and others. A resolution commending Corporal Stan Phillips and inviting him to be recognized by the House of Representatives and for other purposes. House Resolution 1349 by Representative Hitchens of the 161st, Tanner of the 9th, Peak of the 141st, Efstration of the 104th, Deffenbaugh the 1st, and others. A resolution recognizing and commending Debbie Shaw and inviting her to be recognized by the House of Representatives and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes Representative Hitchens for an invite resolution.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, members of the General Assembly. It's certainly a pleasure to be here. I tell you, I have a newfound appreciation for freedom, having been stuck in the elevator for the last 20 minutes. And I knew one day being the former Commissioner of Public Safety would come in handy when I had my successor's phone number. But I appreciate all the public safety people that came and got us out. I think some of the people here that are for another resolution were in there with me. There was about 8 of us in there, and it got pretty hot. But the reason I'm here today is, as the former president of the Peace Officers Association of Georgia and the former recipient of one of these awards, I always feel pretty good about recognizing these people. When you read all the people that are the awards that are submitted every year for Peace Officer of the Year, it runs the gamut, and there's so many different kinds. People that were in running gun battles, and people that have done all kinds of things. And when I was on the board, it was very difficult to make a selection. But we have 2 fine recipients today, and I'd like to recognize both of them. The first one is Debbie Shaw. Debbie is the Assistant Director of the Training Center for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. She's also the Training Coordinator for the Georgia Peace Officers Association, and she's done a lot of work to bring advanced training to local law enforcement in a lot of different areas. But the one thing that I always appreciated about Debbie and some of the work she's done is that she's been the training coordinator for the State Crisis Intervention Team, which equips officers throughout the state to better deal with persons going through a mental crisis by the use of de-escalation tactics in lieu of force to maintain order and promote safety. And I think that saved a lot of lives, and it's certainly of benefit to law enforcement officers to deal with those people who have mental issues. And Debbie, would you like to say a few words? Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I don't think I really had an option, did I? I would like to thank Mr. Hitchens for recognizing me today, and for each and every one of you for supporting the programs that the GBI has out there in the state for local law enforcement. So we appreciate everything that you do here in the Senate each and every day you're here. Thank you.
And before I introduce the next recipient, I'd like to introduce the president of the Peace Officers Association, Trooper Kyle Sapp, and Debbie's supervisor, Deputy Director Rusty Andrews of the GBI. Corporal Stan Phillips is the Valor Award winner this year, and this is somewhat of an unusual case. He works for the Griffin Police Department, and he received a call to go to a house where a large dog had a hold of a 5-year-old child and wouldn't turn it loose. When he got there, he found the child with the dog locked onto its head and a grandmother who was trying to pry it loose. The grandmother had already torn her hands up trying to get the dog's teeth from around the dog, and the police officer tried to do the same thing. He worked as hard as he could. The grandmother actually bit the dog and lost 2 of her teeth trying to get it to turn loose to the child. Finally, Stan Phillips got down low enough on the ground where he could shoot the dog without injuring the child. When he shot him the first time, the dog turned loose, looked back at the police officer, then reached over and grabbed the child again. He had to shoot him a second time to get him off. The child's undergone several surgeries since then. She's got a prosthetic ear because her ear was bitten off. And in addition to what he did there at the scene, he and his church have worked to provide funds through fundraising efforts to help the child with her medical expenses and to buy a van to transport the child back and forth to the hospital for medical treatment. So I'd like to introduce our Georgia Peace Officer of the Year for this year, Corporal Stan Phillips of the Griffin Police Department.
Thank you. I'm not much on giving speeches, but I thank God that day for having his hand on me to do what I had to do and for saving Lily's life. He was definitely there with us. I want to thank the Peace Officers Association for all the support they give law enforcement statewide through the state of Georgia. They have been there for me and all other officers in the state. Thank the state of Georgia, the representatives and the Senate for the support they've given us as law enforcement. I want to thank my chief, Frank Strickland, who couldn't be with me. He was here with me this morning, but he got called back to the office for some matters he had to attend. Thank the Griffin Police Department for all they've allowed me to do. Law enforcement, you don't do it for the money, you do it for the love of the job. It's not about the money. And I want to thank the families and the wives and the children and the people who are involved in our lives every day, because they see the things that we deal with, and they're there with us when we work long night shifts and we're in court all day and we don't have any sleep and we're kind of grumpy. So they see both sides of it, and my wife especially, they support us, and without them behind us, supporting us, it'd be difficult to do this job. This is my wife, by the way, Paige. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate you what you do.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Let's get a group picture.
All right.
House will continue to be in order. The chair will ask the clerk to read the caption to House Resolution 1644.
House Resolution 1644 by Representative Watson of the 166th and Shaw of the 176th. A resolution commending the Georgia Physicians Leadership Academy and inviting members of its sixth class to be recognized by the House of Representatives and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes Representative Watson for an invite resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and House members here. It's my honor and privilege today to bring to you the Georgia Physician Leadership Association. This is a group that is been founded by Medical Association of Georgia Foundation. It's been led by Dr. William Clark from Waycross, who has been a board member there for many years. This is a group that meets periodically through the year. It is represented by physicians from all over the state, and they are physician leaders, not just through MAG, but through their local organizations and through other organizations, including from primary care to subspecialists. So it is my privilege and honor to honor these people and have them here with us today from the Georgia Physician Leadership Association. Thank you.
We're going on now to morning orders. House will continue to be at order. Chair recognizes Representative Al Williams for a morning order. Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I had expected to be here a little different capacity this morning. I had an invite resolution for a young man, and I really wanted all of my friends who brought championship teams here year in and year out, and of all descriptions, both girls and boys. I invited Raekwon McMillan from Liberty County because he is the first defensive back in the history of Georgia to ever be awarded the Butkus Award. And Dick Butkus came and presented it himself. Raekwon is a person that has made Liberty County extremely proud of him, not only because he is truly a superstar football player, and he's also a parade All-American with a lot of accolades, but one of the best things about it, he is a great young man. He left school early in January and enrolled in Ohio State University on January the 4th. I know, but Coach Urban Meyer thought enough of him to come down and visit with his family and eat with them. He wanted him in Ohio, and that's where he is. He's a 3.2 GPA student. He is a great church worker in his church. He is an all-around wonderful person. In his final season, he had 456 tackles, 349 of those were solo, 10 forced fumbles, and offensively 73 carries and 628 yards, averaging 8.6 yards per carry. We're proud of him. I know he has a great, great future. And I'm not just talking about a future in the NFL. I'm talking about a future as a leader in this country. I congratulate his mother, Monica, his father, Ralph, and all of those, his pastor, Bishop Kelly, all of those that have meant so much in his life. I'm proud to say he's from Liberty County.
Chair recognizes Chairman Maxwell for a morning order. He's joined by
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like the Paulding delegation to come down.
all the Paulding delegation, Representative Gravely, Representative Braddock, Representative Alexander.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask the clerk to lead a heading to a resolution, please.
House Resolution 1252 by Representative Maxwell, the 17th, Braddock, the 19th, Gravely, the 67th, and Alexander, the 66th. A resolution commending the participants of the annual Paulding County Civics Day and for other purposes.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. It's proud for us to recognize some outstanding Paulding students here today. They're celebrating their Civics Day in Paulding County. We've got students from McClure Middle School, Moses Middle School, East Paulding Middle School, and P.B. Rich Middle School. And they're in a gallery. If they'd stand and let this body recognize you for being at your Capitol today. We had a chance to spend time with them. Great bunch of students and teachers. Thank y'all.
Chair recognizes Representative Donahue for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, we have some people came down from God's country up at Brazelton, Georgia. The Heritage Academy 8th grade class, Miss Tina Stubbs, if y'all could stand. And I want to let everyone know this nice looking young lady here, our own Amanda Coker. Miss Tina is her mother. So give them a hand of applause. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Bennett for a morning order.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today we have another group of distinguished Georgians visiting us in the Capitol. Members of the Sikh community of Georgia, won't you please stand? Won't this House join me in welcoming the Sikh community to their capital? And I am going to ask Mr. Clerk to please read the resolution.
House Resolution 1507 by Representative Bennett of the 94th, Chandler of the 105th, Mayo of the 84th, Broderick of the 4th, Henson of the 86th, and others, commending the citizenship and contributions of Sikh Americans in Georgia and recognizing March 4th, 2014 as Georgia Sikh American Legislation Day at the state capitol and for other purposes. Whereas Sikhism is a religion founding in the Punjab region of South Asia more than 5 centuries ago and was introduced to the United States in the 19th century. And whereas Sikhism is the 5th largest world religion with approximately 500,000 adherents from diverse backgrounds in the United States. And whereas the Sikh religion is based on a belief in one God and calls for the dignity and equality of all people regardless of gender, race, or religion. And whereas Sikhism is practiced through faith, charity, kindness, and neighborly compassion. Whereas Sikhs in Georgia pursue diverse professions and walks of life, offering rich contributions to the social, cultural, and economic vibrancy of our great nation. And whereas Sikh citizens in each generation have enhanced our culture, quality of life, and economic vitality through leadership, commitment to knowledge, advancement, and dedication to their communities. And whereas the state of Georgia takes pride in its cultural diversity and religious freedom and welcomes the opportunity to honor Sikh residents for their lasting, expanding imprint upon our state. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives that the members of this body encourage all citizens to celebrate the individual and collective contributions of Sikh Americans to the state of Georgia and to the United States, and recognize March 4, 2014 as Georgia Sikh American Legislative Day at the Capitol.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Gravely for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I may ask the members of the Douglas County delegation if they would join me here at the podium, please. Mr. Speaker, members of this House, today I am honored to have not only my constituents, but my friends here in the gallery with me today. I have the family members of one Mr. John W. Morris, and all of us have that family in your district whom you get to know throughout the campaign and through being in the community and working in different charitable organizations and different other opportunities. And the Morris family, to me, has indeed become true friends. I got to know Mr. Jeff Morris this past year, and not soon after, Mr. Jimmy Morris, and then Mr. Jay Morris. And today, I want to honor their mother, Miss Margie Morris. And I would ask at this time if the clerk will read a resolution.
House Resolution 1409 by Representative Gravely of the 67th and Hightower of the 68th, honoring the life and memory of John W. Morris and for other purposes. Whereas the state of Georgia mourns the loss of one of its most distinguished citizens with the passing of John W. Morris on September 26, 2013. And whereas John was born and raised in Douglas County, Georgia, a beloved son of Bill and Maud Morris. And whereas he was a proud owner of a service station, Morris Tire, for more than 40 years, which served as an informal venue for customers to discuss politics and sports. And whereas John was united in love and marriage to Margie Morris and was blessed with 4 remarkable children, Jay, Jim, Jeff, and Jill, and 7 wonderful grandchildren, Brittany, Tyler, Abby, Brennan, Parker, Kellen, and Caroline. And whereas he gave inspiration to many through his high ideals, morals, and deep concern for his fellow citizens, and the devotion, patience, and understanding he demonstrated to his family and friends were admired by others. And whereas he was a person of magnanimous strength with an unimpeachable reputation for integrity, intelligence, fairness, and kindness, and by the example he made of his life, he made this world a better place in which to live. And whereas a compassionate and generous man, John will be long remembered for his love of family and friendship, and this loyal gentleman and friend will be missed by all who had the great fortune of knowing him. Now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives that the member of this body join in honoring the life and memory of John W. Morris and express their deepest and most sincere regret at his passing.
At this time, members of the House, I also want to give a warm welcome to Miss Pam and Miss April. But today we have one of those little grandchildren, Miss Caroline Grace DePriest. Would the House please welcome the Morris family to the Georgia General Assembly? Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Kaiser for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. March is Women's History Month, so I rise this morning to share with you the contributions of Sarah Randolph Bailey. Quiet and soft-spoken, Sarah Randolph Bailey was a woman who touched the lives of everyone she met and made a profound impact on multiple organizations and systems within the state of Georgia. She excelled at a great many things, including her education. She finished first in her class in 1901 and took a teaching position straight away. A missionary at heart, Bailey's teaching extended far beyond chalkboards and classrooms. After one of her students was sent to Macon's old detention home, Bailey began to volunteer to teach Sunday school at her home. After several influential friends visited the home with Bailey, it was transformed into the Negro Training School for Girls, implementing a program for rehabilitation and life preparedness. Today, the home is known as the Youth Development Center at YDC and is managed by the Georgia Department of Juvenile Justice. Perhaps her greatest passion was the Girl Scouts and providing African American girls the same experience and benefits, despite the fact that the Girl Scouts did not allow black troops until the 1940s. Bailey organized groups called the Girls Reserves in 1935, a movement of the YMCA that offered young black girls the same experience as Girl Scouts. In 1945, the Girl Scouts of the United States of America invited the formation of black troops, and Bailey was appointed chairwoman of the Central Committee for Macon's Troops. Bailey's contributions to the Girl Scouts have left a lasting legacy, and in 1994, Macon's Girl Scout Center was renamed the Sarah Bailey Service Center to honor her. If you want to learn more about this great Georgian, Sarah Randolph Bailey, you can visit georgiawomen.org. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Chandler for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know that all of the young people we have serving here every day as pages are special, but today we have some extra special pages. These young people are here because they won an essay contest in their school. And that topic for that essay was what I would do to make Georgia a better place in which to live if I were a state representative. These young people are from Bay Creek Middle, Couch Middle, and McConnell Middle, and they're in the balcony with their families, and I would appreciate your joining me in applauding their accomplishments. Would you stand? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative F. Stration for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're very honored here today to have with us Superior Court Judge Michael Clark and his wife sitting in the gallery joining us here today. And if it would be acceptable, Mr. Speaker, if the clerk could read a caption, please.
House Resolution 1365 by Representative F. Stration of the 104th, Willard of the 51st, Golick of the 40th, Brockway the 102nd, Caldwell the 131st, and others. A resolution recognizing and commending the Honorable Michael C. Clark, and for other purposes.
Thank you. Judge Clark retired recently from the Superior Court of Gwinnett County after 21 years of honorable and exemplary service on that court. Prior to being elected to the Superior Court, he worked as an attorney in the courtroom trying over 100 cases, and in service to Gwinnett County and the people of the state of Georgia as a Superior Court judge, he presided over 100 cases and reached the disposition of 20,000 different cases. And as such, provided wonderful service to the people of Gwinnett and to all of the citizens of this state. Judge Clark has now retired from the Superior Court bench and has gone back into private practice at the Swanee firm of Clark, Oxendine, and Sauls. It's a real honor to have Judge Michael C. Clark with us here today, and I would ask Judge Clark to please rise so that the House of Representatives can recognize you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Kelly. Representative Kelly for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, I'm honored to have with us today some exceptional individuals from the 16th District. I've got 6 people who are just great. They've been great public servants their whole life, representing the Retired Educators Association in Polk County. I've got Guy and Linda Rutland, Jay Sawyer, Brenda Richardson, Judy Angle, and Gladys Gibson here with us today. As the son of 2 public educators, I know the dedication that they have made with their lives, and I just want to ask them to please stand so that we can thank you for your service.
Chair recognizes Representative Nimmer for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, if you'll notice on your desk this morning, there's a tote bag from the Georgia Downtown Association. I hope that when you go back to your respective communities, you notice your downtown streets and appreciate the work done by that association. And Representative Dickey wanted me to make a note that come about mid-July, peaches will be in full season, and you can go by his farm and fill your bag up to take home, okay? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Duncan for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to take a quick moment to invite all 180 of you tomorrow to the Legislative Fellowship Bible Study we've got at 7:15 in the morning in room 403 here in the Capitol. Yours truly is going to be delivering the devotional for the first time. And a sneak peek on what we're going to talk about is that the Bible doesn't call on us just to be Christians. It calls on us to be disciples. So I'd love to see you in the morning at 7:15. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Waits for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, distinguished guests. I rise this morning to bring awareness towards the need for organ donation. One organ donor can save the lives of 8 individuals, up to 60 individuals through tissue donation. Right now, 4,000 Georgians are fighting for their lives with a transplant waiting list. You can give them the gift of hope for the future. Our decision to say yes to organ and tissue donation gives those waiting for a transplant the gift of time. Time with their friends, time to watch their families grow old, and time to simply enjoy life's beautiful moments. There is no cost to donate your organs. Donation does not alter funeral arrangements, and you have the peace of mind knowing that you have given the gift of hope and potentially save lives. Again, your decision to say yes to organ donation will give someone on the waiting list the gift of life. To document your decision as an organ donor, visit www.donatelifegeorgia.org. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Kidd for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, we decided to do this resolution this way rather than a previous resolution, so this individual couldn't take access to the microphone and talk for half a day. But if we could ask the clerk to read the resolution.
Recognizing and commending Representative Jimmy Pruitt, recipient of the Brainal Spine Injury Trust Fund Commission's 2013 Pathfinder Award, and for other purposes. Whereas the state of Georgia encourages safe and healthful athletics for Georgia youth, and whereas in 2010 alone, 12,198 Georgia youth aged 5 through 18 sustained traumatic brain injuries unrelated to motor vehicle accident. And whereas the National Football League, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the National Federation of High Schools, and other esteemed organizations have actively addressed the issue of student-athlete concussions and the prevention and management thereof. And whereas all communities in Georgia need equal access to training and management information for youth sports concussions, and whereas prompt recognition and management of concussion symptoms contributes to significantly improved chances for full recovery, and whereas Representative Jimmy Pruitt of the 149th District sponsored House Bill 284, the Return to Play Act of 2013, and whereas many school districts statewide implemented concussion management policies months ahead of the January 1st, 2014 deadline in the Return to Play Act. And whereas Representative Pruitt's initiative will help protect Georgia's young athletes now and for years to come, and for his efforts, he has been awarded the Brain and Spinal Injury Trust Fund Commission's 2013 Pathfinder Award. Now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives that the members of this body recognize and commend Representative Jimmy Pruitt for his efforts in protecting Georgia youth and for receiving the Brain and Spinal Injury Trust Fund Commission's 2013 Pathfinder Award.
Ladies and gentlemen of the House, this is a very prestigious award. It's very rarely given out. A couple of years ago, when I was chairman of the Brain and Spinal Trust Committee, I gave one to Congressman-elect Lindsey, who went out of his way to help, as Representative Pruitt here has gone out of his way and gone the extra mile to help people who need help. They can't help themselves. And so when the trust fund asked the independent caucus, and we met back there in the South phone booth and unanimously voted to introduce this resolution to honor one of our very own for going really beyond the call of duty to help hundreds of people throughout the state with disabilities who need help. Please help me welcome and thank Representative Pruitt.
Chair recognizes Representative Billy Mitchell to introduce the Doctor of the Day.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Geraldine Scott Smith, MD, who lives in my community, earned her medical degree from the Medical College of Georgia in 1982. Dr. Smith has practiced in the metro Atlanta area for 20 years and is past chief of pediatrics at DeKalb Medical Center at Hillendale in Lithonia. Presently, Dr. Smith is a staff physician at MedLink Georgia in Winder, a federally qualified health center serving under and uninsured patients in Northeast Georgia. She is now serving as chief of the Division of Pediatrics at Barrow Regional Center. An avid tennis player. Her mixed doubles team will be vying for the city championship this weekend. Please help me welcome Dr. Smith.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
It is an honor for me to be here to serve you today, you who serve Georgia's citizens so tirelessly. And on behalf of MedLink Georgia, I want to thank you for all you do to help ensure that all of Georgia's citizens get high-quality health care. For as you certainly know, a successful and happy life starts with good health. Thank you.
We're about to go on to the rules calendar. We're about to go on to the rules calendar. All members will take their seats. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 128. Senate Bill 128.
Senate Bill 128 by Senator Miller of the 40th to amend Chapter 10A of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to professional counselors, social workers, and marriage family therapists.
Chair recognizes Chairman Maxwell to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, this is a bill that passed out of committee last year, got tied up in rules, we couldn't get it out. Basically, what we're allowing in this bill is for the marriage and family therapists to continue to do what they've been doing since they were licensed in 1984. We're having to add the term diagnosis into their scope of practice. In the past, it's always said they could evaluate and treat emotional and mental problems and conditions, but because of a law changed in 2012 with our state health benefit plan and the Georgia Department of Behavioral Health ruled that all mental health centers and agencies, they had to have the word diagnosis in their scope of practice to take care of their insurance purposes. Right now, they're having to send people out to social workers and others to have them diagnosed. This has taken 2 or 3 weeks' time for these people to get treatment. So we're asking diagnosis to be added into that language there. And then in line 22 and 23, the Commission on Accreditation for Marriage and Family Therapy, that's the accrediting group that monitors these folks. They're getting their accreditation from the Council of Higher Education now. So that's 2 parts to the bill. Any questions, I'll try to answer them. If not, I will yield it well and ask for your vote.
You don't appear to have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
There was a minority report on this bill. No one has signed up to speak. Representative Flood, Representative Mickey Stevens, Representative Karen Bennett. Anybody wish to be heard on the minority report? Okay. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of Senate Bill 128 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of Senate Bill 128. The ayes are 136, the nays are 26. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 23. Senate Bill 23.
Senate Bill 23 by Senator Davenport of the 44th to establish the Stacey Nicole English Act and in her honor to aid in the location of missing persons. This bill having come before the Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security. The committee recommends same do pass and be read for the third time.
Chair recognizes Representative Taylor to present the bill. Representative Darlene Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, today I bring to you Senate Bill 23, known as the Stacey Nicole English Act. This bill is established in her honor. The primary intention of this bill is to prohibit law enforcement agencies from mandating a minimum waiting period for filing missing person reports for missing persons with disabilities or who may have a incapacitated due to a serious or medical condition. However, the response to the early report clearly remains with the law enforcement to make those decisions. It also authorizes a statewide endangered person advisory board based on the missing persons with severe medical conditions. If there are no questions, I will ask for your favorable consideration, and I'll yield the well.
You have no questions.
Thank you.
Lady has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of Senate Bill 23 will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of Senate Bill 23. The ayes are 164, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions.
Commending a future leader, Stephen Stansel. Commending a future leader, Stephen Youngerberg. Commending a future leader, Dustin McDonald. Commending a future leader, Julie McCullough. Commending a future leader, Holly Truman. Commending a future leader, Xavier Reed. Commending a future leader, Bo Trawick. Commending a future leader, Coretta Harris. Commending a future leader, Angela Dell. Commending a future leader, Sandra Moore. Commending a future leader, William Ted Wooten. Commending a future leader, Terry Schwindler. Commending a future leader, Robin Euler. Commending a future leader, Felicia Watkins. Commending a future leader, Melissa Rusk. Commending a future leader, Joshua Bell. Commending a future leader, Emery Walden. Commending a future leader, Melissa Hurt. Commending a future leader, Linda Elkins. Recognizing and commending Sparkle K. Adams in honor of Women's History Month 2014. Recognizing October 6th through 10th, 2014 as Georgia Pre-K Week at the State Capitol. Commending the citizenship and contributions of Sikh Americans in Georgia, and recognizing March 4th, 2014 as Georgia Sikh American Legislative Day at the State Capitol. Recognizing and commending Mike Burns. Recognizing and commending Milton Mitchell. Recognizing and commending Beverly Reese. Recognizing and commending Mildred Clemens Schmeltz. Recognizing and commending the Cartersville Rotary Club on the occasion of its 90th anniversary. Recognizing and commending the 2013 Child Fatality Review Committee of the Year and Prevention Team Award, Cherokee County. Recognizing and commending Representative Jimmy Pruitt, recipient of the Brain and Spinal Injury Trust Fund Commission's 2013 Pathfinder Award. Recognizing and commending Pastor Harry H. Barrow on the occasion of his 30th pastoral anniversary. Recognizing and commending Coweta County Fire Marshal Jimmy Gant. Recognizing and commending Ms. Alice Jackson on the occasion of her retirement. Commending the 50th anniversary of the passage of the Georgia Water Quality Control Act, and commending the water professionals, government officials, environmental community, legal community, media, and citizens of Georgia for their role in improving and enhancing the quality of all of Georgia's water resources. Commending the Georgia peanut industry and recognizing March 17, 2014 as Peanut Butter and Jelly Day at the Capitol. Recognizing and commending Mr. Scott Ulich on the occasion of his retirement. Recognizing and honoring the members of the St. Patrick's Day Parade Committee, Chairman Kevin Halligan and the Grand Marshal of the 2014 St. Patrick's Day Parade, David Roberts, on the upcoming occasion of 2014 St. Patrick's Day Parade in Savannah, Georgia, and inviting them to appear before the House. Commending Marquis Dion Grissom and inviting him to be recognized by the House. Commending the Lynx Incorporated and recognizing March 21st, 2014 as Lynx Day at the State Capitol. Recognizing and commending Deborah Newsom Rossi. That completes the reading of privilege resolutions.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the privilege resolutions? The chair hears none and the resolutions are adopted. If you have an announcement, and you need to be sure that you're signed up with a messenger and be up front. We're about to take up announcements. All right, we're going on to announcements. Members will be in order so that the members that are interested can hear the announcements. Chair wants to announce that today is the birthday of Representative Buckner. Everybody join in and let's give her a happy birthday greeting. Chair recognizes the chairman of the Public Safety and Homeland Security Committee, Chairman Powell, for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the Public Safety Committee will meet in about quarter to 3 in about 15 minutes. Same room, 415, and the Regulated Industries Committee will meet immediately after that committee. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Chairman Willard, for an announcement.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. We're going to have a short meeting of the Judiciary Committee starting at 2:45 in room 132. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the chairman of the Majority Caucus, Chairman Hatchett, for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Majority Caucus will meet in the morning at 8 o'clock and 3:41. Majority Caucus, 8 o'clock in the morning, 3:41.
Chair recognizes Representative Dudgeon for an announcement.
The Academic Achievement Subcommittee of Education meets at 3 o'clock today in Capitol 341.
Chair recognizes the chairman of the House Education Committee, Chairman Coleman, for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to remind everyone that tomorrow at 3 o'clock from 3 to 5, a lot of you have asked, we're going to be hearing the Senate Bill 167, the Common Core Bill. So please plan to attend and learn everything you've always wanted to know about Common Core.
Chair recognizes Representative Riley for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Environmental Quality Subcommittee of the House Natural Resources Committee will meet tomorrow at 1 p.m. in 606 CLOB. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Harden for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Resource Management Subcommittee of Natural Resources and Environment will meet tomorrow at 2:30 in room 605 CLOB. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Knight for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Small Business Development Committee will meet at 3 o'clock. Again, 3 o'clock today, 5:15 CLOB. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Welch for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Welch Subcommittee and the Juvenile Justice Committee will meet at 4 o'clock in room 506, and then the full committee will meet at 4:30 in room 506. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Dukes for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Georgia Legislative's Black Caucus will be sponsoring a public hearing tomorrow in room 341 from 3 to 5, and it will be the state of our health care insurance. We've invited Commissioner Clyde Reese from the Department of Community Health and from the Georgia Budget and Policy Institute, Tim Sweeney. It should be very informative and hope to see you there.
If you have pages here today, we're taking page photographs down here at the rostrum, and you need to come down here immediately upon adjournment. That appears to complete the announcements. The chair recognizes the Majority Leader of the House for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move this House now stand in recess until 5 p.m. today, at which time we shall adjourn until 10 a.m. Wednesday morning, March 5th, 2014.
The Majority Leader has moved that this House be in recess until 5 o'clock p.m., whereupon we would be adjourned until Wednesday, March the 5th, 2014 at 10 o'clock a.m. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. This House will be in recess until 5 o'clock p.m., whereupon we will stand adjourned until 10 o'clock a.m. Wednesday morning, March the 5th.